Hello, I'm J.J. Ikegami from West University, Japan. I just joined the session with Chris Smith. Good morning and good evening.
Good morning and good evening, JJ. Indeed. Just for the record, just to make it official, I'm gonna by your request, I'm gonna call you JJ. What is your name that you go by besides JJ?
My proper name is Jusuke Ikegami, but a lot of my non-Japanese friends had difficulty to pronounce my name,
Uh-huh.
Jusuke, when I was
Uh-huh.
in Cambridge. So they start calling me J, but there was another guy called J, American J. So he is AJ, American J. I'm
Okay.
J from Japan, so
Uh-huh. Okay.
they call me JJ.
Okay. Excellent. All right. You gave away some of this already. You said good evening, good morning. So just introduce yourself a little bit to the audience here. The couple of questions that I have in this introduction question is, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you at this
Mhm.
moment?
Mhm.
And what is your cultural frame of reference? And what I mean with a cultural frame of reference is not a 2-week holiday to Thailand, for instance. That is not so much of a cultural
All right.
reference. All right?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
got it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, good morning and good evening. This is J.J. Ikegami. My proper name is Jusuke Ikegami. I'm from Waseda University, Japan. I'm currently in Japan. Basically, I'm born in Japan, very classic, traditional sake wholesaler originally, but I studied in Waseda University, Japan, and then immediately after graduation, I've been UK and got my first master and second master in UK, 2 years. Right. And then I came back to Japan and worked for American company, BCG, and then other American company. And then I go back to UK again and get my MBA in Cambridge. So my second time in UK, and then come back to Japan again, and then worked for Japanese company, SoftBank, and then also worked for very traditional Japanese company called Nissay Life. Okay. And then I entered into Waseda University, one of the top private university. And then initially, I've been teaching European business person who wanted to launch in Japan with a contract with EU. So at the time, my first 10 years in the university was teaching European executives who want to start up or take the top leader position in Japan. So that's a kind of my culture journey.
All right. Interesting. So it's been Japan traditionally, you said, then US, then the UK, then back
US,
to, and
UK,
then
yeah,
again back to the
in
UK.
and out.
What made you decide to do that? I mean, if you come from a traditional Japanese background, what made you decide to no, I'm okay, I study first in Japan, but now I want to go out of Japan. What was
Yeah.
that what was going on?
It's quite a lot of influence from my father. He's a very open-minded person, and he wanted to work abroad, but because my family business and over 100 years history, and he have to go back to family business,
Hmm.
right? So he had an aspiration to go abroad. So I had a lot of influence, and he talked about this, the international business. Actually, he didn't do it. So I was a lot influenced by my father, and at the same time, he had a good friend called Mr. Professor Willie Jones from Hokkaido University. He's from Cambridge. And then when I was young, I had a lot of communication with Willie Jones professor. And then I had a lot good story about UK. So maybe I had a kind of some yeah, imagination in the UK. So that's maybe one major reason why I wanted to study abroad in UK immediately after graduating undergrad.
Okay, you said you were a young man when you went to Cambridge, as in, so you're open to new things and new experiences. But coming from a traditional Japanese upbringing, what for
Mm.
you was the biggest cultural difference or possibly even culture shock that you experienced when you went either to the US or to the UK?
Uh, the biggest, actually, many things, but the biggest shock was a kind of gender gap, right? So it was not the first one, but the second visit to UK. At the time, I was with my wife. Yeah,
Mhm.
she was pregnant. Okay, and the day one when I go out from the home, and then when I come back from my work, the first report from me to my wife is, "Hey, Tomoko." Tomoko's my wife's name, and I told her, "Oh, in UK, gents are pushing buggy, right?"
Yeah,
I've never seen at the time it was late mid 1990s. So
yeah,
in 1990s in Japan, I've never seen gentlemen pushing buggy. Buggy is a baby car, right?
yeah.
In Japan. But in the UK, there's many gents. So that's why I reported it to my wife. Nowadays, okay, it's more gender gap. Still there is that now more and more gents are taking care of babies. But that was the biggest shock.
That's it's I'm always surprised where the angle of culture comes in. I mean, where people they see something in a different country or culture, and then that's what they notice. Pushing strollers or pushing buggies. That's a very interesting
Big,
observation.
actually, big shock, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
even little things like this. Okay, excellent. Thank you for answering that. Um, I've got a few topics here that I'd like to discuss with you, if I may. One of them you brought forward yourself, and that is I'm going to paraphrase about what you said in the email that you sent to me prior to, of course, the recording,
Mm,
as in the and we're, for those of you listening to this in the future, we're recording this on December 17, 2024. Okay, so
mhm,
you have an idea. Um, the U.S. elections. The
mhm,
U.S. elections recently elected November 5, Donald Trump, president-elect, will be inaugurated January 2025.
mhm.
My
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
And you said in your email, this is going to impact Japan. In what form or what shape is it going to impact? Positive, negative? Um, you tell us, enlighten us.
Oh, I cannot tell what whether positive or negative, but quite a lot. As you may know, Japan is um got quite a lot of influence directly, indirectly from US, right?
Hmm.
So from culture side and politics side or business side, quite a lot.
Hmm.
So and then the especially the behavior of Japan is quite a lot also influenced by US. So we thought that maybe we have some kind of prejudice on the maybe Donald Trump. So he's not the type of top leader, ideal top leader from
Hmm.
our Japanese common sense.
Hmm.
So first big shock is he changed the idea of the our idea of a top leader, ideal top leader, A. And B is we quite a lot of Japanese people thought maybe you as uh, ordinary people has a kind of proper common sense, right? So from our standpoint of view, or originally, right? We thought, oh, or maybe most people may not select the leader, like not an ideal type of leader like Donald Trump. So that was a big shock. So we thought, all right, can we follow the direction by the US? Okay.
Hmm.
So that for maybe for the business side or culture side, because they quite a lot of Japanese business are not totally following, but looking at the US business as a kind of a good sample of a best practice. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and then nowadays, more and more, probably we have some doubt on can we learn a lot from US, right? So it's a kind of a shock of the many people thought the US as a kind of teacher in business and politics. And then we thought many people thought, oh, it's quite doubtful. Right. So
Is
as you
there?
can imagine, if we lost a teacher, we'll be shocked. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be in chaos. So that's one biggest impact.
Okay. I think many countries in the world are shocked by the re-election of Donald Trump. I mean, this is not good or bad. It's just people are, I guess, surprised that the American people overwhelmingly actually voted for Donald Trump. Is there in your history of following what's going on in the world any president that was good for Japan?
Good question. I, of course, there's many opinions, but I personally think probably um, can pick up one, but
Mhm.
at least many people thought, okay,
Mhm.
it's not real or not. Many people thought, uh, yeah, but no, but it doesn't mean that Obama did pretty good things. He did a proper impact or not. But
Mhm.
when I talked to some friends, they thought Obama at least was as a personality is a good leader, a good
Okay.
leadership.
Okay.
And then many people thought the good leader and what he did is good or bad has sometimes no correlation.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Sometimes bad leaders can lead to the good result, and
yeah.
then sometimes the good leader leads to bad result.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicely phrased. I like that. I like the concept like this. Okay. Well, we'll see what's going to happen in the coming 4 years, and let's hope for the best, I guess. I'm going to change the subject here a bit. You say that Japan has one of the highest rates of uncertainty avoidance in the world, which I think is true. On within culture matters, I don't like the word uncertainty avoidance. I prefer the word predictability, which is more of a positive
Yeah.
approach rather than a negative uncertainty. Anyway, the high countries scoring this. So from a cultural perspective, this dimension called uncertainty avoidance, or
Yeah.
in
Busted. Yeah.
yeah, I call it predictability. In other words, a country that scores high on this dimension on predictability wants to have things predictable in the future. And so that you say, how does this? So Japan scores pretty high on this, I know, and I agree with
Mm.
that. How does this compare with other countries in your
Mhm.
opinion or your experience?
Um, actually, when many experiences, especially when I had a business, the university has a business with Singapore, right?
Mhm.
And then we have a double degree program with Singapore. And
Yeah.
then when we prepare the launch and then continuation of the double degrees, some students, the 2 degrees, one in Singapore and the other is in Japan,
Okay.
in and out program. And then I found the process and then speed and so on are quite different.
Mhm.
Okay, so we are very cautious for preparation, and then in the Singapore they are quite quick, and then for us it seems they not only quick but also the addition is sometimes a little bit less preparation, right? So at the time, we both thought because it is our for both side that kind of a new double degree program is a new experience, totally new
Mhm.
experience. So
Mhm.
that's why we had a very good preparation, and it seems the Singapore side is more I'll say courageous to open up the new program. At the end, it worked pretty well
Mhm.
now, but at the beginning, there's a kind of a bumpy process, and then the preparation process of also not only preparation, but also how we treat this kind of bumpy incident are quite different.
Yeah.
So I thought that, all right, we have a very, say, avoid unpredictability, but it seems Singapore are pretty open to that kind of unpredictability.
Yeah. Oh, good point. It's
Or
and
joint project experience.
it's an interesting observation that you do. I mean, if you're an outsider and you're not Asian, and I know that about the audience that listens to this podcast is about 50% are from the United States, and
Mhm.
the other 50% are really scattered around the world. And so it's a good notice that not all Asian countries are the same, right? It's not,
Mm-mm-mm.
oh, so you're Asian, ah, yeah, then it's all like this. So even Asians among themselves have an issue of, well, okay, we're both Asian. Some of you might even share a language, like Malaysia and
Mm-mm.
Indonesia, for instance. Also have a very different approach to, for instance, this predictability dimension. And I think it's a good notice that you and a good observation. Thank you for sharing that to see to know that, okay, if you want to do business in Asia, you have to know which country you're talking about, and not all Asia is all the same.
That
That's
exactly. So we thought that we
uh-huh,
are in Asia, but what surprising for me is even in Asia, Singapore is more similar, not far away, like in US,
uh-huh.
that we have a totally different approach to do something totally new things.
Okay. It's and you mentioned in the introduction that you think that business structures and cultures are going to change in Japan. It's getting easier, I guess, or not. So I'm going to
Mhm.
be maybe a bit controversial here. I've been to Asia quite a lot. I've been to Japan only once. I've been
Mhm.
to Indonesia only once, but I have a decent exposure to Asian culture. And my experience is that it's Japan is the most difficult country for Westerns to do business with. Do you agree with that? Or am I just short-sighted and not open enough to see and understand what's going on?
Interesting. It depends on how you see the
Mhm,
difficulty to open up or at the early stage. It may be difficult to for at the beginning, but the once you started the business properly,
mhm.
and then that will last much longer
Right.
and in a steady way with a quite high stability. So if somebody do not know some not a secret, then some hidden rule in Japan, because we are quite high context culture, so
Yeah.
many things are not written down. So it's maybe difficult for especially Westerners to see the what is a hidden rule or
Mhm.
protocol, hidden protocol. Yeah. But once they know it, it's much easier for them to continue. So I think maybe yes, difficult, yes. But once you know the secret,
Mhm.
because as I mentioned, I was the head of an education program of European business person,
Yeah.
okay, who want to do business in Japan. So when they learn at the Waseda University, they find the many secret. So and then quite a lot are made a very successful. So it was EU executive program. So if you when we did it, if you rank the top 100 European companies in Japan, 70% of these companies' top leaders are graduate of this EU executive program. So yeah, so it's difficult if you don't know the how to do it. But when you know how to do it, you can make a very good success. So,
So give us a couple of baby steps. Okay, so I want to start a business in Japan, right?
mm,
I want to start a pastry business in Japan.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm.
I don't know, coming up with an idea. And so what do I do?
Yeah. First thing is you have to know somebody you can trust well, the bridge person to get into the business, right?
Mhm,
So the bridge person who can communicate both maybe communicate with Western culture and then knows that business field which you are
mhm.
interested in, right? He or she could be either Japanese or non-Japanese, whoever is fine. Yeah. But that kind of first some introduction process is very important, trustworthy person. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you a new person and then knock the door, which open, it's very difficult to open. A. So find trustworthy bridge person. A.
Mhm.
B is um, repeat several times. So many Japanese are, as you said, uncertainty avoidance. So they are not open um, casually at the very beginning, right?
Mhm.
So they expect the newcomer to have some patience, right? So if somebody can repeatedly, yeah, several times, and then they gradually know, oh, he or she could be trustworthy. So
Okay.
these kind of repeat. Yeah. Of course, at the time, you don't have to uh, talk something new. Yeah. You can repeat same thing again and again and again. That's fine, right? But the repeat, this is also the second baby step
Okay.
tips. And third is it's gradually changing, but maybe it's better to have some uh, small present. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be very, say, high price. Yeah. But something to show respect.
Yeah, show respect, and
So
it's
that
more of a
goes many
gesture.
different by the just yeah.
Yeah. And now turn that around now. So how are you educating Japanese who want to expand to, say, Europe or the US or Australia?
Oh, the thing is, the context. Yeah. So in Japan, we are quite high context culture people. So we can communicate many things without expressing what I want to do or what my plan, who I am, because
Hmm.
we can understand quite a lot without talking. But I talk to them. You have to prepare well. A. B is you have to be very vocal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they, because sometimes if we know each other well, probably I saw before somebody talk direct needs, I can say, oh, maybe you want to do this. So do you want to do this? And then he said, yes, right? But but if I go outside Japan in the Western world, I have to be very explicit and clear on what I want to do.
Hmm.
So that's
Uh,
the first big difference.
yeah. And I think that's not very easy. I mean, in my own experience, I've worked for
Exactly.
years. I've worked with a Japanese colleague who spoke fluent Dutch, but she found still after being in the Netherlands or something for 25 years, she still
Mm,
found it really difficult to be direct, as in to say, "Do you want this?" and then no. You have to
mm.
say the no, and because that's the only thing that we understand. It's an immense difference between indirect and direct communication. But it's a very nicely phrased. Thank you for that. Um, is there anything that we should talk about that we didn't talk about?
Yeah. So one thing is the relating to the uncertainty avoidance also the consensus, the feeling of consensus based in Japan.
Hmm.
So one thing why uh, it's take a long time for non-Japanese to get into Japan is we are very consensus-based culture
Hmm.
country. So it's yeah for business and whatever. And so that has been the tradition because we're looking for the harmony and then
Hmm.
very, I would say, of course, risk avoidance in ch changing many things. So talking to a new person is changing something, right? Then we have to make consensus inside to can we open up the new gate, open the gate to newcomer, right,
Hmm.
from West. But nowadays, it's gradually changing. So consensus-based, yes, to some old-fashioned companies, but some new resolute leaders are more open minded to the say less consensus, more make a clear, resolute decision. Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
So and then what I found is those resilient leaders have experience abroad or they had done business as expats abroad, and then they have the good balance of the consensus and then making resolute decision. So in that way, we have a new type of leaders
Mm.
in Japan. So that's gradually changing. And then many people look at, oh, maybe sometimes we don't have to wait for the consensus, but we can go for that kind of decision making. So
Yeah.
we had a new role model. So that's one new movement.
Okay, very good. Oh, I think I just lost my mic. Sorry, that should help.
Yeah, I can see here. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So two questions left. Can you give us three tips to become more culturally competent, please?
Yeah. In short, one thing is open-minded, A. B, is, as I mentioned before, need to experience the different culture. Okay, so the direct experience. So we are sometimes reluctant to, let's say, go abroad. But once many Japanese, when they go abroad, they can be more culture competent. And then C is more to be more courageous to get out of their comfort zone. Yeah. So all these are not easy for us,
Mhm.
but maybe for even for Asian or some of your side. So yeah, so decide to get out of the comfort zone is pretty important, I think, to be culture competent.
Very good. Very good. Last but not least, JJ, how can people get in touch with you if they would like to?
Uh, they can contact me via LinkedIn, hey,
Okay,
yeah,
that's it.
or yeah,
Okay, that's fine. That'll be all in the show notes, plus a small bio about yourself. And well, I think it fulfilled everything that I wanted out for me out of this conversation. I hope it was for you as well, a good and thank you for being very explicit in your explanation towards and describing Japanese culture. I think it's one of the
my
few
pleasure.
times, it's very one of the few times that I've heard a Japanese being able to express his own culture in such a way that I think many other cultures can understand as well. So I think it's really I
Good to
really
hear.
enjoyed the
Yeah.
conversation. All right.
By the way, I also enjoyed your TED talk.
Okay,
You
thank you.
mentioned about the project management, the
Uh-huh.
difference of project management style for France, UK, and
Yeah.
German, and yeah, because I'm teaching project management to some large Japanese companies, and then they are very international company. So
Mhm.
I showed your YouTube to the person who is in charge of the project management course, and
Uh-huh.
then she also enjoyed
Okay.
your TED sessions,
Okay,
especially
thank
the
you.
project management part, the
Okay.
different style. So,
All right. Well, thank you for the
yeah,
compliment. I'll take the compliment with pleasure. JJ, it was a
sorry.
pleasure talking to you. And
Me too.
I'm sure we'll be in touch in the future.
Sure.
All right.
Anytime. Thanks a lot. Good
Bye.
night.
See you.